Allocation, Fallen Love Legacy.
Welcome, Lord Jesus. Come be with us today for this commission meeting. Guide us with your leadership. Grant our commissioners wisdom. Satan, be gone. You're not wanted nor welcome here. And Lord Jesus, we thank you for the infinite blessings you bestow on us. I want to thank you for your protection from the storms we had last weekend, and ask you again, Lord, to protect us from this bad weather that's coming our way. Lord, we acknowledge that you are the creator of the universe, the creator of all things. We acknowledge that you are still in charge. Lord, again, thank you for the many blessings we have. I offer this prayer today to you in the name of your Son and our Savior, Lord Jesus Christ. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Go ahead. Miss Prairie, you're ready?
Good morning. Happy Monday. Hi there. How are you? I'm
Happy
good.
Monday.
Good.
How you doing?
We're doing well. Came prepared.
Yeah, Monday.
You were. You got the large
It is a
umbrella.
large
Can
umbrella,
you
just
just
because
fix it
I
on
have to walk back with you under it with me.
I'll be right back on you.
Okay,
Here we go.
okay, we're gonna start short hold.
I think we ought to get rid of these file cabinets. That'd be a lot more.
We're gonna have to open
Good
up.
morning, Phyllis.
You don't alternate later. Well, I mean, we're gonna have to.
Let's do it
We're gonna have
now.
to sign in.
And
Yeah,
I can sit
Go
over
back.
there.
I'll sign in.
Okay.
Just a
Except
thought.
that there's no pen. Oh, no.
Put them in planning and zoning down there. They got room.
Yes, that's true.
Okay. The first thing that I have are back to the minutes of April 29th. In your packet, you have the originals, and then you have the proposed revision. Are you ready to take action on approving minutes of April 29th?
That suffice with you, Diane?
Yes, no, we're not gonna mess with it. So, yeah, go ahead. I'll give you the today complaint.
Okay,
As corrected.
Yes.
okay, been moved, I'll second that, all those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, then I have the minutes of May 13th.
Okay. Everyone's had a chance to review those. Any discussion on those minutes? Now I'll make a motion to approve the May 13th minutes. It's written.
I'll second.
Moved and second, all those in favor?
Aye.
We do have some change orders.
so. She can sit. You don't? You sit by yourself. In the front row. He has a big one.
Oh, okay. But I'm not done yet either.
We do have one early check. Oh, Tammy wanted.
Oh, yeah.
And then we'll go to support.
Absolutely.
In your packet, you had information about the KAC conference that's coming up in November. So if you have a
What's it
chance to
called?
look at that at some point, and let me know if you'd like to be registered.
I want to be registered.
That's what I wanted to do.
Okay? Will you be driving back and forth, or do you need a hotel?
I'll drive back.
Okay. We do have the quit claim deed for the other two lots for the, next to the Forest Depot that you had asked Brad to draft the deed for.
Okay.
And this is going directly to the Florence Historical Society. So we just need the chairperson's signature on that. In your packet, there's a letter from K-Camp, and our Peabody shop is in the floodplain. And so they are asking for you to take some different action on that. Did you have a chance to read that letter?
Yeah.
So they would like to know if you want them to get a quote for you for coverage through the National Flood Insurance Program.
What's the value of the car shop down there, do you know?
Yeah, well, I got that. I can check into it.
I mean, I guess I'd kinda like to know what the value of that property is. I know National Flood Insurance is gonna be a chunk of change, and if it's a building that's, we can let water run through
Mhm.
flood.
Okay. We can get that.
Okay.
Any other?
I'm surprised we didn't have any others.
They had a list of ones they weren't sure about, and Sharon Olmsted checked those against the floodplain maps, and none of them were. This one is.
Because I would've thought maybe the South Shop was in a floodplain.
It's not, it's near, the road is in
Mhm.
floodplain, because we've looked at that before, but the building is not, so. Okay, I will get that information, and then we can talk about it at another
Okay.
time. And that was all I had.
Okay.
Okay, so I want to bring up one thing. I do have the official request for restoration for the alcohol bottom right now, we have $4,276 in there as to the date of this, which the date of it is. Okay, as of the end of April, so I'll give this to you, Tina, so that we can go ahead and take action on that at some point in time. By statute, you know, we do need to address that.
Okay. Okay. So, you want me to bring it back to you as an agenda item
No,
at
I
some
can,
point?
I can do that now. Are you ready to do that?
Well, I think we probably need to have that as agenda item, so we, you know,
So all the
everybody,
commissioners can be here.
we put it on
Okay.
next week or something.
Yeah.
Right,
That's
so
fine.
the request, generally what happens with the budget allocation
I
request?
understand.
Okay.
That's what I just handed it to you, but then you said if you want to do something now, so I thought, well, okay, if you wanted to, I would, but
Okay.
I didn't
Generally,
expect that.
when organizations come in with a budget allocation request, they come to the board, and they present that. They can do it in writing, and that's fine, but usually that's done as part of the budget process. So,
And they have been in, but
Yes, they have.
but they haven't requested funds when they were in.
Well, they haven't, they have requested funds, but we refer them to fact. And so then they were trying to work with fact, and of course, that's not gonna be appropriate. So they went ahead and
Okay.
did the official, that we told them they have to do.
okay. So I will bring that back as a budget allocation request. Okay.
Anything else? Okay. I think we have folks here from Marion Merchants Association, so whoever the spokesman is.
Well, I'm the lucky person.
Tammy?
Am I supposed to sit here now?
Yes.
Okay, wonderful.
Tammy, the microphone over there, when I will turn it on.
Okay.
It does have a little bit of a buzz
Okay.
this morning, so.
So if I start twitching or
Tammy
something?
has a bug. Don't put that paper on.
Do you guys have a copy of our project?
I do.
Okay, very good. All right, well, good morning.
Yeah, morning.
Happy Monday, everyone. My name is Tammy Enzi, as you guys know, and I'm here representing the Marion Merchants Association, which is a fairly new organization that we've started putting together. We've been meeting bi-weekly on Thursdays at 2 p.m. and right now there's about 7 different businesses, maybe 9 different business owners that have been represented at these meetings. We recently, just this past week, put out an invitation by a flyer to all the businesses just to ask people to come. And what the goal of this organization is just to facilitate some communication amongst the Marion businesses and also some collaboration. And so we're hoping to achieve that without getting an official organization and putting an LLC together and charging dues, because I don't want to get caught up in the process. We want to get results, and that's my goal. So anyway, as we've been meeting, we've been talking about the need to do some tourism-related marketing for our community. And as you guys are aware, Teresa Huffman used to head that up for the county and has been absent from doing that for the last few years. So unfortunately, that happened about the time that I took over the ownership of the Elgin. And so I never got to see her that much in action. But since I've been the owner of the Elgin, which has been about 3 years, there's really not been much marketing of our community at all. So clearly that hurts me as a business person. Also, Rachel Collett, who's here with CB Baked Goods. And so we sat down and put our heads together. And we said, hey, what could we accomplish here quickly to market our community? And I don't want to market our community like it's been marketed before. I feel like, as an outsider coming in, so I moved here 6 years ago, that Marion has a lot to offer. Not just the county, but also the city. We have a lot of unique shopping, especially antique shopping. I don't know if you guys are aware, but there's people that come from all over the United States to do antique shopping right here in our community. And I see those people staying with us at the hotel. We also have some great places to eat and dine. I know there's a constant complaint that we don't have something upscale, but we do have a couple of bakeries. We have our coffee shop, our Gambinos, our Cazadores, we have the Coneberg, we have the neat grill up in Tampa, we have the Wagon Wheel Express. So there's really a lot of unique opportunities. And then, of course, the Elgin is an awesome place to stay. I mean, I'm not biased or anything.
No, we realize.
But it does astound people when they come here and they're like, I didn't expect to find something like that here. And then, of course, our outdoor playground. I mean, we have the 2 lakes. We have a lot of hunting here. I'm sure you guys are aware of all these assets. And then I think one of the #1 things that's not in our county, but is an asset for us, is the Tallgrass Prairie Preserve. So this is Kansas's only national park, and we're only 20 miles from it. So we have a lot of people that stay at the hotel for this. So we would like to market a Marion experience, quote unquote, that encapsulates all of these unique features of our community. And so part of this project, to start this project off, we've chosen 3 areas to do that. The #1 area is TV advertising. And while I was not a significant proponent of TV advertising a year ago, KSN from Wichita came out and did a special on the bakeries on their Main Street program. And so Family Bakery and CD Baked Goods were both highlighted in that. And then about a month following, they came out and did a Main Street program on the Elgin. Whoa, we saw such an increase in revenue. You know, with being just an hour from Wichita, there was a ton of visitors that came out to visit the bakeries, to visit the hotel. And, you know, if they're here at the hotel, we're telling them to go to the bakery. Rachel's always sending people to look at the hotel when they're here to dine. So it's really been a significant, I think, investment of dollars, although we didn't have to pay for it. Investment of time, really was what it was. So that's why we landed on the TV advertising, is we've already seen a great return on that. And so the bakeries, along with myself and Tampa State Bank, Fay Chiropractic, the St. Luke Hospital, we have all committed to KSN. We've signed a contract that we're going to do advertising on there for 6 months. And the interesting thing is, none of us specifically are being advertised. We are in a way, but what we're trying to advertise is the Marion experience. And so, you know, as we were talking about that and committing to that, I thought, why couldn't we use some transient tax dollars for this? Because this is not specific to CD Baked Goods, although CD Baked Goods is going to be highlighted in it. It's not specific to the historic Elgin Hotel, although I'm going to be highlighted in that. And so that is where we come to asking for money to do this advertising. We know that there's transient tax dollars that are designated to be spent specifically for tourism-related marketing. And it's my understanding that we have over $50,000 in that account, $25,000 of which my guests have put in there over the last 2 years. And so that's why I'm circling back to ask for some of that money specifically to market Marion and the Marion experience. There's 2 other pieces of that are smaller pieces. One of those is some signage here in our community. If you've noticed the blue signage that directs you to the high school, to the historic Elgin Hotel, help me out, Randy, what else? The library. The other things to do here. That signage is really important to the state. That's called Wayfinder signage. And so what has happened is the Elgin this past fall went through the process of applying to the state to become a travel information center. And this is an official designation that allows us to be recognized on their travel map, on their website, and also to gain highway signage so that people driving on Highway 50, Highway 77, and Highway 56 would see that there is a travel information center and they may pull off to get information. So while there's a cost to the Elgin to do this, I don't see that there's a huge benefit to the Elgin because people are not going to go, oh, there's a travel information center, I think I'll stay. However, I think it's really a good thing for our community because it gets people off the road. They might eat here, they might go get some groceries, they may stop at the bank and get some cash, they could get some gas. So I really see the benefit of this being more for the community than the Elgin. But in order to get this free signage on the highways, we have to have the wayfinder signage in place. And so that's why I'm requesting $375 to do that signage here in the community. That would be 5 of those blue signs. And that way, once people actually come off the highway, they will be directed to the right place. And then lastly, the third segment of this project is related to print material. And so I have brought, and I have a few extra if anyone's interested in these. We'll leave these for Randy. You'll notice this says Chase County. And you're wondering, well, why would you bring a Chase County brochure? Well, this brochure is very impressive to me. This is probably the most popular brochure in our foyer at the hotel, and I think that's because it looks professional. Not only does it look professional, but it communicates a message. It communicates a message that Chase County is the place to go to restore, revive, relax, and repeat. Now, that's not necessarily the message that Marion wants to communicate, but I do think it's highly important that Marion has a similar brochure to communicate our message. And so I have proposed that we spend $3,000 to make about 2,000 copies of these and to distribute these not only in our community, but also at the other travel information centers that are on the highway. One of those is on the Turnpike. Well, 2 of those are on the Turnpike, and 1 is on Highway 70. So that's why I brought this so you could see and touch and feel like how nice it is. We would just propose that we do something similar. We are too big of a county to do this for the whole county. So we would like to ask that money to do something specifically for the city of Marion in this regard. So, just to summarize, we are asking for, I have a 1-pager here. We, the Marion Merchants Association, are asking for $15,375 to market the community of Marion in the way of TV advertising, signage, and brochures. So, what questions do you have?
The use of transient guest tax, does all of this fall in line with what is actually usable for?
I had discussed this a little bit with Tammy before, but transient guest taxes that are collected are to be used specifically for tourism. It was, the money that is in there is generated by people staying in hotels, basically, in overnight facilities. And so, all of these expenses would qualify. In the past, we've not had a large request like this from, because it's used for the whole county. But we do need to come up with some sort of a system where if people want to request those funds for their communities, that it's available, because that's what it's for. Unless the commissioners decide they're gonna build a stadium, that's about the only other thing. So,
I guess my thought about it is I kinda hate to just Marion. I mean, Hillsborough has a lot to offer.
Absolutely.
Tampa does, all of them do.
right,
And
one
to
thing to
single out
mention,
right now, I'm kinda concerned about that. I really don't, I'm concerned about that.
one thing to mention is that Hillsborough has their own specific transient guest tax dollars that they are collecting specifically for their city. So they're a little bit outside of the realm of the rest of this.
So do the other communities as well?
No,
Okay.
they're
so-
the only ones.
Okay, so, but even the other little communities, we can have a lot.
And they have been able to request funds too, but it's not well known. And so, Tammy had a good point that her business specifically has generated quite a portion of the taxes that we currently have. But I think, and so, it would be appropriate, but it's just a matter of then in the future moving forward, how does the commission want that application process to look so that it's available to, the entire county?
And may I address your concern, Diane, because I have the same concern. I didn't move here with these thoughts of these lines in place. I can tell you this, people aren't gonna come to Marion just for Marion. When people come and visit our hotel, and what I feel like would be included in here is not specifically what's in Marion. It's just saying that it's going to be a Marion County. We would have, how many restaurants do you think we have in Marion County? Anybody have a good guess at that?
25 to 30 probably.
I would say there's a lot. I was gonna guess higher than that, but, I'm just afraid this brochure might get a little large if we say we're gonna include everyone. But I guarantee you that there's going to be items included in here like the antique shops, we've got the, museums in Hillsborough that are very popular. Those things would be included in here. So I'm not saying that everything in the county is gonna be in here, but definitely the attractions.
And I would only offer, this account has been gathering money now for any number of years, and the requests of these other communities for Florence's Labor Day, for Ramona's Redneck, for Lincolnville's Fall Festival, have not come close to the amount of contributions that have been going into the account. So I'm not worried about that account suddenly being empty.
I wasn't worried about it either. I was only worried about, like
Them getting
Tina said, they're not, a lot of these little communities aren't aware that it's there and what it's used for and what they can do with it. And I think before we actually start giving money to any one city, we need to actually maybe discuss it with the commissioners and how we do wanna, promote that to all the community if that's what we wanna do. Because I tell you, I was down in Florence not too long ago and they have a really neat
Yes.
area as well.
Yes.
Lots of really neat areas, which as long as I've been here, I didn't really pay attention to it before, but, I really would hate to leave that out.
And we would
And
not leave
so,
that out whatsoever.
I'm not saying that you would, but I'm just saying, I really think that we need to actually discuss a little bit as to how we would like to, a plan that the county would like to come up to fairly and equally have funds available for
Right.
different areas.
I would
Before I
expect that.
just jump into one little group.
Well-
I don't have a problem giving them this kind of money, but I'd like to know how many communities in this county actually have some kind of a formal group that promotes themselves. I know Hillsborough does, Peabody does, I'm not sure about Dawson.
No, I don't know.
And Florence probably does to a certain degree, just through,
Usually your city council helps.
Yeah.
Things like that.
but we've got all these little small towns, and I'm sure they'd all like to have a little piece of the action too.
Sure.
But how do we determine who gets what?
Right.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
We take the population of each one of those and, okay, you get this much percent, you get this much percent, and you get this much percent.
Well, I would propose it be in proportion to who is actually bringing the money in.
Pay to play?
say, there are some statutes that govern this tax. And, it has to be used to promote, it can be used to promote businesses if they're tourist-type businesses, like a hotel or restaurants, those things that would cause people to go somewhere. It can be used for festivals and events, anything tourism related. It can be used for a brochure. It could be used,
But I
any of
mean,
those
festivals
things.
and events, we probably never spend more than $2,000 or $3,000 a year on what's been requested of us.
And
I mean,
those
it's
would
not
be
like a
listed
big
in here,
deal.
those events, for all those communities.
But it's true, though, that maybe it's collected here, but what's bringing people here to stay in that place? It might be the wind farms, it might be anything going on in another town, because Peabody don't have a motel, Florence don't have a motel. So anything in our county's going on, and it may bring business to you, but directly, it don't have Peabody associated, or Florence, or Burns, or Tampa, or Ramona, or anything like that associated, but yet it may bring business to you. So
Sure, absolutely.
I think we still have to keep an open look here as to why it's here, so.
Yeah, I'd like time to think about it.
Sure.
Explore all the possibilities at least. And be
Yeah,
fair to everybody.
I'd like to use this money because it is laying there, but like you said, we want to be fair to everyone. Because, conceivably, everybody else might come over and ask for $15,000, we'll run out in a hurry, but that's neither here nor there. If that's what it's supposed to be used for.
And probably a lot of people didn't even know that the county would contribute to it.
Yeah.
Especially these large sums of money,
Well, it's not technically the county contributing. I mean, these taxes were raised for
Right.
this purpose.
I understand all
Yeah.
that, but since
Okay.
we have it, they're coming to us and distribute it. A lot of people probably didn't realize that while we give to the different ones, like the fireworks displays and things, I mean.
Yeah,
those are just a couple
most of the
hundred
community
bucks.
celebrations we give,
I
but
mean,
it's not
almost
huge bucks.
Nothing,
But,
so.
okay, we got a couple of questions from the audience, go ahead.
So I was just gonna make a suggestion to kind of go back to your guys' point, maybe on the back of their flyer, they can say contact the merchant, group. And so like we were just saying, pay to play or whatever, but maybe those smaller communities could then contact Tammy if she's the head of that department or group or whatever and say, hey, how do we get involved in this, or how did you go about this, or how did that money get allotted to you, or whatever, how can we do this going forward? And that would be, they kind of have to take their own stake in their own community as well and say, hey, look, this is how we'd like to kind of piggyback on that, and so copy it however they want to do it, but have that available to them.
Eric?
I would just like to add that while this is a wonderful idea to have this brochure, I will point out for our sake and for the Free Press's sake, we both publish a product just like this, which currently gets no money from the county. It's based on advertising revenue, and essentially, this will compete with us, with both of us, and both of our products. And I'm a little worried about government competing with private enterprise. It's something to consider in this. We would love to cooperate and do this. It used to be that the county underwrote part of the efforts that we in the Free Press were doing historically, and that ended. And now if we are facing this as a competing resource for us, it becomes a problem for us. I'd also just like to add that there's a world of difference between traffic that comes from advertisement and traffic that comes from news. So, from news stories, because what Tammy got was really nice traffic from news stories. Advertising's a different animal, and this is kind of I hate to say this is an old story in the news publication and broadcast businesses. You go out and seed a couple of news stories and get response, and then you come back and sell them ads. It's sort of a trick that people use.
Well, I do know that as a commission, we need to decide on how to allocate the money. I hate to slow down the Marion merchants though. And so, I'm not saying we give the $15,375,000 right off the bat, but I'm sure in favor of getting started anyway.
Would you like to have a plan before you start just giving the money away?
Well,
I mean, an actual solid plan or other ideas
I
first?
think this can evolve, but I mean, we've got people sitting here that want to do something.
Well, we have that all the time. I mean,
With all due respect, we have a plan for this specific
Right,
fast.
right.
I was just recently in Great Bend, I stayed the night at the Travel Lodge. There is a brochure there, and I'm not sure if it's from you guys or where it comes from, but it's a Marion County brochure.
Right.
That is currently, I picked it up and looked at it. It needs to be updated. It needs to add some things, but you're already spending some money on some things.
That was probably one that was printed locally.
Well, I think we have boxes of stuff left over from Teresa that,
It was really impressive for me to see it
yeah,
there.
we have
you know?
boxes
It
and
was-
boxes of that. We had a couple,
And so I picked up a few more from Great Bend.
There's actually a service that distributes these things to
Right.
thousands of places around the state.
So, may I address the discussion about the other brochures? So there are two brochures, as Eric pointed out, these are county specific. One is the business directory, which the Marion Record puts out. We do participate in that. That is strictly a list of the businesses that are here. It is a good directory, and I really appreciate it. It doesn't communicate a marketing message. The message in there is, here's the business cards from the specific businesses.
That
So-
wasn't the one I was referring to. I was
Okay.
talking about our resource guide, which is put out every other year.
Right.
The Free Press also does a travel guide, although last year they had a picture of a bridge in Chase County up in
Right.
County.
So the Free Press also has a magazine that, it's not a brochure like this, it's a magazine. And it has ads in there, which I pay to put an ad in, as does the city. And so, again, the specific message is not one of Marion. So
Our
I'm
resource,
asking,
our resource guide is, and it's printed on slick paper like that.
I'm asking for money for a Marion guide.
What kind of percent did you say that you contribute, you think? Just your business, or Marion City, or Marion area, or what?
I don't know how long that money's been in there. I have looked at our records, and over the last 2 years, we've contributed over 25,000. Our guests, not we.
Yeah,
Right.
out of your business.
Yes, yes.
Does anybody know whether bed and breakfast pays this? I thought they did.
The bed and breakfast, no, they do not.
They don't?
Only if you have more than 5 rooms.
Oh,
It's based on the number of.
Right.
Based
And
on
so
number.
the Hillsborough Hotel, their transient guest tax goes specifically to the city of Hillsborough. Ours, instead of going to the city of Marion, goes to the county of Marion.
I think.
why is that? Why does Hillsborough go to the city?
In the original days of the transient guest tax, Marion was apparently asleep at the switch. And we had the opportunity, when the transient guest tax was implemented, to hold up our hands and say, we want to keep that money specific. Hillsborough did, and they do. So hypothetically, there is a way where we could come back to you at some point in time and say, holy cow, we'd really like to keep this money specific to Marion, but we're still working on that.
Okay.
You may hear back from an unofficial request, but
I believe that was a timing deal,
Yeah, it
because
was.
Hillsborough had one in place, and then when, in Teresa Huffman's early years, she implemented that. She went through and did the steps to do it for countywide.
But to a point made earlier, this really isn't government competing with businesses, because this is money that transient guests are paying for staying at the
Right,
hotel.
right.
So this is not coming out of, this is money allocated specifically for this purpose.
I don't have a problem giving them the money. I mean, I think it'd be nice to have a little bit of a plan going forward, but
So
Why do we
this,
wanna slow
this is
down?
our plan. I know, Kent, I think you're referring to a plan for people requesting transient
Right,
guest tax,
right.
right?
And Tina and Anthony and I have had some initial conversations about structuring that for that formal plan and request. So we aren't to the end yet, but we have been working.
why does Anthony care? They got their own.
Well, because he still has Gossel and.
Oh, okay, okay.
We're kind of approaching it from our
Okay,
from our
sure,
in-community
good, good.
teamwork
Good.
So he has part of the county and I have part, so.
Good.
This TV channel, Channel 3,
Yes,
is that part of your plan right now? Is that,
Yes.
is that it?
yes. This is the full detailed plan.
Okay. This is a short line.
Can you get Smoky Hills Public TV in to come into Marion County, since it covers about a fourth of the county? I mean, what they do on that channel is unbelievable for communities. You just watch it every week.
I get them on DirecTV, so
I
they do a
mean,
lot of,
That public TV station is community oriented.
Yes. We also have a Flint Hills TV station out of Council Grove that is it was new as of last year, and they do some advertising for us for free.
Don't we have some brochures and stuff that the MCC made up? I think they gave us a box. I know they spent a lot of money on advertising. Do we still have those, or what did we get?
The information, no, we don't have anything like that. We do spend on the Kansas Travel Guide every year. And that is money that has been paid out, those have been paid for out of the transient guest tax funds. It used to be that Teresa would enter the ads, and now Randy Collett and Anthony Roy enter them, and last year MCC, EDC, Catherine did do that. And so this year, there's kind of a gap there as far as who's going to do that for those businesses that they did them for.
But that was for the county, is what MCC did, right? That is countywide.
It's statewide, actually. It's in a statewide guide, yes.
But that is just, it's a Kansas travel guide. It's put out by, it goes across the state. And so those are just advertisements. It's not a county-specific brochure. The main brochure that is put out now, that the county pays to have distributed to Great Bend and those other centers, is the one that is put out by the Free Press, which we do not pay for.
You get any kind of verification on what Tammy's saying, what business contributes what money?
No, I don't get that. I might be able to get a little bit more information, and I can certainly provide you all with the statutes and how the money is to be spent. I had asked Randy and Anthony to come over to have a little meeting about the transient guest tax, thinking maybe we could come up with a fair way, to present to the board as far as approval of a process for people to apply, but we didn't, none of us have enough time to.
We haven't done, the last year and a half, we have not hardly touched. I mean, MEC looked at it, I don't know what they spent of that.
We never did a brochure.
I don't know what they spent of it for what you was talking about, Diane. I don't know.
I don't remember.
It wasn't very much, but basically, they were just requesting that we turn it all over to them to utilize at the end.
Basically, the only thing we've been spending on is special events.
Yeah, it hasn't been too much of it.
Teresa used to place ads in several of our tourism-related projects, including things we would distribute during all the summer events and so on. Now, whether it came out of this money, I don't know where Teresa got it. It comes from a lot of places.
You went to first base, didn't you?
I personally would like to know the information that you can come up with myself, and see what we can come up with a fair, or at least other ideas to be fair. I mean, I don't care about spending the money, but I really am concerned about being fair.
And we're looking at 54,000 right now.
That's what we have right now.
Online.
This is what put out for just Marion.
So this is 2016.
Well, I just had them grab some. I don't know whether this is the most recent one or
It's
something.
not.
But we are planning on doing one this fall.
But 2016 is now, so you.
Well, I just asked to give me some old
you're
ones.
kind of
I don't know
there.
what they are. We're doing
You
one
can't
this
do
fall.
that far
Right.
out.
Right.
But,
So yes, as Rachel said, she has to
I
pay
have
to be in
paid
this.
to be in that, so, maybe I choose not to do that brochure. And I can tell you that we've already, the group, our Marion Merchants group, we've committed to do what we're gonna do. We need to get people to town. And the 6 of us that are kind of in doing this advertising, we're gonna go forward with this, because we need to get people to town. Our downtown is gonna look beautiful in another month. We need to get people to our town to see this. I have people that come, I had a couple last week that came from Wichita, and I said, well, and they've been in before. And I said, why do you come to Marion? They said, to come to your bakery. Yep. So I'm bringing people to town because then now they're having a family reunion in August at the Elgin, and they're gonna book all the rooms at the Elgin, and they're gonna have me do a dinner for them. And while their whole family's here in town, they're gonna buy some gas, and they're gonna probably go up to TC's or out to the picking yard. So,
What we have done in the past, and it dried up when the county and city stopped contributing money to this, is that we have some contributed content that goes in there, but obviously we can't underwrite the cost of it. That's why we try to do advertising, but if we had some funds to go behind this, obviously we could put this type of content in for the merchants that can't afford their own ads, and we could create an even better thing because we've got ad money also coming in behind it, which will create a thicker book and create it. Now, we could go the other direction and say we would simply do it as a paid product with no advertising, but we do this stuff. And that's where I'm a little worried that if this comes out and then we go around and start trying to sell, oh, we want to sell our ads. Oh, no, we're already in the other book that the county tax paid for. So we don't have to pay for it, and we don't have any way to get any money to create our revenue to produce this book. And the free press is in the same difference, although our book is a little more like what Tammy was talking about. Andy is focused solely on Marion.
But I think that your book, I think it can piggyback off of what they're doing, because theirs is just gonna be a message and then the whole entire content, or maybe like a one-pager or something like that you could sell that business with explaining more information, and the two could be, they don't have to be competing, they can be coexist
Which is
together.
exactly what Chase County is doing. I didn't bring a copy of it, but they have a magazine that goes with this. But people who are, their interest is piqued from this. If they want more information, they pick up the Chase County magazine.
Yeah, I would love to be involved in these discussions. This is the first I heard of this morning.
Me too.
Other than,
So-
I heard about Wichita TV and pointed out that Burdick isn't in the Wichita TV market. So Wichita TV kind of skews way west and south and north of us, but doesn't get Emporia, doesn't get Junction City, doesn't get Manhattan, doesn't get Topeka. And we kind of argued against that proposal because of Wichita TV. We're right on the very fringe of it. I'd like to think that we go in a 2-hour radius around Marion County.
But Eric, I think your argument was that we should do newspaper advertising instead of TV advertising.
My argument was TV advertising with lists of businesses. If you're gonna have a little screen that comes up that says St. Luke Hospital, nobody from Wichita is gonna come up here to use St. Luke
That's
Hospital.
not our goal.
Nobody from Wichita is gonna come up here to use Tampa State Bank. You need a clear message and a clear brand, and then you need to reach your target market, which is basically a 2-hour driving radius of Marion. Now, there is no good medium that does that, other than print, because you're crossing 2 TV markets. You're crossing the Topeka market, Wichita, Hutchinson, Kansas, plus
Patty,
market.
do you have a press question or a public question?
well, first of all, I do agree, yeah, I'm kind of both, but I do agree with Eric. Would it be nice to be part of these discussions, being that we're a business too? And the other thing is, our publication, just to defend it, yes, it's a print media like Eric. It does, like Jonah said though, it goes 8,000 copies. It goes to Goodland, the border. It goes all over. And the state one Tina was talking about, the businesses paid part of that money to be in it. So not all businesses in Marion County were in that.
Right.
The Free Press used to get money and may still get money
We
from
don't
the county.
get
Okay, I'm gonna land back to my point that this is Marion specific. It was specifically for Marion. It wasn't for the county as a whole, but we wanted to highlight attractions in the county.
And see, and I agree, I understand what you're doing, but you know, when you're doing something like that, and I'm sorry, when I was in business in Junction City, when we businesses want to do something specific, it was on us.
Sure.
I mean, the county didn't chip in to do anything specific.
I completely understand that.
But you
she
didn't
paid-
have,
but you didn't
you didn't
pay
have
me
a
to.
bucket of tourism money specific for tourism money paid by her guests to use.
Well, I would disagree with that somewhat, because I'm sure there was a lot of
Well,
money.
you and I will agree to
Okay.
disagree.
I mean,
Well, so this is kind of a chicken and egg situation.
Okay,
I will be honest with you, there's
just
very
everybody
few
just-
businesses that
hold
can
on a
afford to
second.
advertise.
Yeah.
Back to you two.
I agree. I know Marion has 2 motels. I don't know what their other one does, don't have any idea. In regards to your part of the question, Diane, yeah, I'm somewhat like to see somehow, don't know whether we can ever find that, whether that's public information or not. Appreciate what you said. We haven't done nothing with this, like you said, Ken. I'd like to make the motion. The reason why I'm gonna make the motion for the amount that I'm doing is not the total amount, but I'd like to make a motion for $10,000 to go towards this until we can better find out what we're doing and move forward with the amount. So I guess that's my motion for $10,000 to go to this project, so we can then maybe we can sit down and have some discussion on it and see how the bucket is fed and go from there.
Okay. Motion's been made to contribute $10,000 transient guest tax to the Marion Merchants Association. I'll second that. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
I'm not opposed to it, I just think it's the wrong thing to do at this time. I mean, here we are again doing something we don't have all the facts and information to, and
How you voting?
that, I have an opportunity to talk, sir. If you have a motion and a second, and so now I can talk. That's the proper way to do things. So I'm just saying that I'm very conflicted with it myself. I wanna help out. I'm gonna go ahead and vote yes, but I don't like it. No, I don't like the way it's being specific. I think we're cheating other people, and I don't like that.
Okay. We moved and seconded, and
And please get that into.
so now I'm asking for the vote. All those in
Yeah,
favor?
we had.
Aye. Okay. Thank you, Tammy.
You're welcome, thank you for your time,
Thank you all.
and for the dollars.
I think we need
Thank you, Randy.
to work ahead, see what we're
We'll continue.
Okay.
Okay, is Jesse here? Yes, okay. Hi, Jesse.
Of course you can. You wanna go visit Jason?
Transport fuel bids.
Total amount, right?
Yes.
Well, looks like we've got 2 bids there. Make a motion to go ahead and approve the F service in the amount of $18,840. Is that 7 or 8?
That's an 8.
850.
Second.
Okay, moving second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
That's all I have for you this morning.
That's pretty tight, it is.
Jesse, have you been working with all the flood stuff that's going on and things like that with Randy Frank to provide the information that he needs to assist in getting some?
Yeah, we have our first
FEMA
meeting
money?
with FEMA tomorrow.
Okay,
They wanna go out on site tomorrow, but I'm doubting that we're gonna get on it tomorrow. We'll at least have our meeting and go from there. So,
okay. I just wanted to mention that,
Yep.
too. I don't wanna lose any money that we have the opportunity to get.
Thank you for mentioning it, it was on my list here too.
Oh, okay.
What we've done, to catch you other 2 commissioners up, I don't know when the last FEMA project's been, 2 years ago or 3, maybe, I don't, for, when it was Road and Bridge, it was under,
Probably at least.
at least that for Road and Bridge. And that was going out and doing extensive picture taking and quite a bit to accomplish getting some return money. Part of my other notes was I did some driving Friday night and last night, and every one of our little draws is all over. I know it's got to be up your way too, in my way anyway, south end of the county, where we've had riprap around the bridges and little drawbridges and stuff. It's all 50 to 100 foot down the draw. It's going to be years before we ever. And I'm just wondering, Jesse, I want to capture that, even though, you know, somebody may say it's a cow road, but when you get to that little draw down there at the bottom of that cow road, why, that riprap is 50 to 100 foot on down the creek or farther. So please take note of that, because I don't know how many little, I don't even have any idea how many little draws we have that's, the riffraff's washed away from it, so. But it's an extensive project, and I don't know, I think we spent assigned two people to go out and take care of some of this stuff. Because it was over 600,000, if I remember, Tina, I don't know, that we captured last time, over something, it was quite a bit, so.
Right now, we got a lot of documentation going on, pictures, notes, measuring, they need all that, for us to even try to qualify. Right now, that is taking, I just want everyone to be understood, this is taking us a long time, so I'm telling, like the blade one, for instance, take your blade out, let's get to fixing these things, but you have to stop, you have to take a picture, sometimes you gotta get the tape measure out. You have to measure how wide, how deep this rut is, or, you know, a little snake washout through the road. I need to know that information, they need to know that information, so before you just go and try to fix it, you have to stop, you have to document, and then write it down, take pictures, and then get on to the next, fix it, try to fix it, and then get on down the road. So I'm just letting everyone know this is a process, and it takes a while to get things done, and as well as we were about ready to get 2 projects done last week that are messed up from the floods, but I was told to stop by Randy Frank because we gotta have proof to show him, to show these people, to take them out to site. So here I wanna get a job done. We had the people, we had the time, we had the equipment, and I had to stop and call them off because we have to show these FEMA the problem. Even though I have pictures of the damage and the finished product, it's not good enough. I have to show them physical damage. So I'm just letting everyone know this is a long process of fixing, and
Plus it keeps roads closed longer.
keeps roads closed even longer. So, and then these storms coming in today and tonight. So I'm just letting everyone know what's going on with the process of FEMA.
Documentation by pictures and stuff was not enough, you don't think, Jim?
No, he wanted, I said, because we're getting a lot of the bad ones fixed right now, and they wanted us, he said, well, at least save some things. And he had a point, it's dirt roads, it's not like it's a rock or paved road, but at the same time, we have to keep it closed and keep the damage there so they can actually see it for themselves, even though the pictures may show it.
And not, you wasn't in a supervisor's position, I don't think, the last time FEMA.
Yes, I
Was you?
Yeah,
Okay.
that's, I'm so up to date on this, I've been so many meetings with this, it's just, we've never had the documentation in the past to be able to get paid.
Right.
And that's one
right.
thing I'm stressing on the guys, is it's gonna take the job longer to do, but if everyone's wanting this, and we gotta try to give our best effort by
Right.
giving the photos and
Do you think that every one of your grader operators understands all what you just said?
a lot of them hear it, I mean, some of them hear it, and some of them are trying their best,
Okay,
but
good.
most of them, you know, a lot of them are just upset with how long it's gonna take them to get through their sections.
Before you, and I don't know, you might have been a written call for me when I'm talking about, it seemed like that there was too many fingers in the pie, and we didn't have 1 or 2 people directing the main effort to get that, so we did lose some at one time or another. And so I don't know, I'm not recommending any way to do it, I guess, but I'm just wanting to try to know that there is gonna be money available if it's declared and everything, if we get there. But,
Well, I think that 1 or 2 people in the pie is good, but when you got a whole county that's
Yeah.
under the deck,
Yeah.
you're gonna have to rely
A lot
on
of
and
pieces.
depend on these blade guys to take pictures and make
Right.
things.
okay.
And I think the reason why they want to see actual damage is because, you know, they want to make sure the damage is now,
Yeah.
not last year's damage in pictures. You know, and that helps drive it home that we actually, hey, this is for the fair to see.
And I also want to emphasize, if we have a 12-inch tube that gets washed out, and we didn't, like, let's say there was no riprap around the edges, and it was a 12-inch tube, and it got washed out and destroyed, if we go in and with anything larger than a 12-inch tube, and then we go and line it with riprap, they will not pay us whatsoever because we did not go back with the same thing. So if we feel like we could better something while we're there, they will not pay us for that fix.
Right, and
So-
that stands to reason. Their job is to put it back to the way it was.
So Correct, and I understand that, I still feel while we're there, if something can be bettered, I think it's in our best opportunity to try to better it than go back with the same thing that we had. So that's kind of where there's a,
I understand that, but I understand how FEMA works a little bit too.
correct, and I do too.
Care.
They don't care about that.
Yeah. The other thing that I had for you, Jesse, on my list was 30 days from now, we'll be in harvest season. I mean, it's right around the corner. And as I was driving this weekend, there's a lot of farm roads that hasn't been touched just yet. I mean, grass is starting and stuff like that. I would like for I think the commission, ask the commission to open it up to where the grader operators can hit them now too, so that if 30 days from now, the farmers are gonna be needing to get some weed out and stuff,
Well,
and so.
on top of that, those ones that are growing grass so fast this year.
Yeah, I
Is it-
agree.
Maybe you have to mow them before
Right.
you get ever,
I'm trying to get summer help hired, do some mowing for us, but yeah, I mean, if we can get on the roads, we're gonna that's my main projective, try to get these roads covered before harvest, before the trucks and tractors start.
I just like, in my opinion, I'd like to see every operator that has a district make sure that they've looked at all the district, and they can't, I don't want them to say that the commission's holding me back going out and touching that road. I guess I'm,
No, I agree 100%. We know that farmers are gonna be doing crops. It's the best thing to jump on it ahead of time before you hinder them. Especially with all the damage that we had on the dirt roads and stuff. The farmers need to have them open.
because at one time, there was some points of emphasis not to touch those roads. And so, I just wanna make it open with the county commission that we have today, that, we haven't touched them, especially this year with all kinds of water and things we're gonna have again this week, so.
yeah, I mean, you look at the forecast,
Yeah,
it's rain for the
forecast.
next 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So, Yvonne, do you have something?
I just wanted to know, have you done anything about the bridges that are completely full of trees and stuff?
We have
It's gonna
knocked
get
out
so much worse.
we've knocked out a number of bridges of debris already and trying to,
Okay, well,
and there's been a couple that I was gonna hit, last week already, and they wanted me to save it.
I know over by the Cottonwood School, there was
Debris
a
takes-
huge, big pile that was supposed to be burned, I guess.
Where at?
Over by the Cottonwood School, over
Okay.
way up north.
Goldenrod.
There was a great big pile there, and it washed right on down, and it never got burned. So,
Now we got a new big pile.
yeah, so I'm hoping, maybe you guys get those things burned, so that doesn't happen again, because it just makes it worse on down.
You have something, Brian?
Yeah, Jesse, will FEMA, say for instance, and I totally agree with you 110% to replace the culverts, whatever else we need to, if they need to be bigger, whatever else it help. Will FEMA replace even materials in like kind?
There is a different process, steps you gotta go through to try to be eligible and for them to pay you. Those are steps that we have never taken in the past.
Just
But yes,
curious,
there are-
because, material is money that you could get, on top of, putting in the larger and or appropriate size. So, just wondering.
There are steps, I believe, to be able to try for that, yes.
Touched on summer help, what are the prequels that you're looking for?
I'm looking for 18 and older.
18 and older, get driver's
They can
license?
pass- they can
Valid
pass a
driver's
drug test.
license. pass a
Halfway
drug test.
responsible?
Well, I figured some of this is put in the newspaper, so there's free advertising. Let me ask that real quick.
I am looking for summer help, yes.
We have had some 16 and above before to help patching and stuff, and I think after an experience that we had before, I think we need to, when you said drug test, I think if we put a 16-year-old out help patching and things, that we would, under so many hours, that we'll drug test them too.
Just figured we'd seize the opportunity
There you
and
go.
put it in the paper.
The final thing is, I was over in the southeast corner of the county last night, and in case people don't know what the southeast corner is, it's rock over there, and that's one of the graders. I don't know, people don't want to go, you take a grader from somewhere else, they despise that corner down there. But I just want to say thank you to grader operators, because there's not much to work with out there, and that hard rock stuff. And on top of rock, and we've got places torn out, so I'd just like to say thank you to our grader operators and all over the county, but to work down there and not have too much to work with is tough. I mean, Jim Bob's Watkins driveway down there, I drove it last night, and Jim Bob's always concerned about his driveway with his cattle and things, and so, but just to have rock to work with is something that we gotta do, yeah.
Jesse, just out of curiosity, do the blade men down there, do you have the carbide tipped
No.
serrated blade? Because I know that's what Chase County uses on their flint rock, and I don't know how well they would last, or if that's something that you could dedicate. I mean, it's obviously it's a unique situation, but I think compared to your regular mow boards and everything else, they may last longer, so.
I've been looking into more of them recently. I've been hearing good results on them, so I would like to at least try a couple and see what the lifespan is on them.
And I mean, maybe Chase County be the place to talk to see how well it works, because that's what they use exclusively. I mean, not exclusively, but a lot more rock, so.
Yeah. I have been investigating them.
Okay, thank you, Jesse.
Thank you.
Okay. Bud here?
Yes, I think
He's around the corner. Somewhere. There he comes. I knew he'd be around the corner.
Morning, Bud.
Morning.
I need to talk to you guys about the transfer station plans for the new building, on what you'd like to have wall height wise. Right now, the engineers are planning on a 20-foot wall, and we have a 26-foot wall right now existing. And I kind of just drew up a little diagram here. You, okay. Anyway, drew one up, and they were planning on a 4-1 pitch roof on the 20-foot wall, and we talked to the building people that supply the buildings, and they say customary 2-to-1 slope is what they recommend on the buildings when they sell them. So on a 26-foot wall, they would have a 2-to-1 slope instead of 4-to-1 slope, and you can see the difference in the heights as you get from the center of the building to the wall.
So you're saying they're gonna go from the 4-to-1 up to the 2-to-1?
If you want, now the addition of the cost from the 20-foot wall to the 26-foot wall, he said was $10,000 to $15,000 for the building.
So as I'm looking at that, that really reduces the slope. Is that gonna impact the snow load?
It shouldn't, because that's what they normally put on the building, he said. That's what the manufacturer told the engineer. So
What's the main reason for doing that?
we're
For going from 4-to-1 to 2-to-1?
well, you need your height for the inside and dumping of the
Oh,
trailers.
that, yeah.
Right now, we have 26-foot walls, and the ceiling is 26-foot straight
In the
across.
existing structure.
In the existing.
And we're touching it with trucks.
And they're touching it, so
Well, why was the initial plan for 20?
he
I
thought
don't know.
with the 4-to-1 slope, it would get it up high enough, you know, but wasn't figuring that they're pouring forward dumping, and as they come, the roof is dropping fast. It was just brought to my attention, and I asked him what the heights was that he was doing, and he told me it was a 20-foot wall, and I said, what can we do if we go to what we have?
I guess when we was up there, I was expecting nothing less than what we had.
Well, that's what I was too, and then after you and I talked about it, I went down and remeasured what we have, and then I asked him, and he said he had 20-foot walls figured, and I said, put a stop on it, I want to get your guys's, what you want. Myself, I would go with the 26-foot wall to get the room, because right now, they're touching it, 26-foot, and if you can get them up to 32-foot in the center and then dropping down, you know, not that much, you know, it would help the people dumping them a lot.
Does anybody have any other opinion on it? I mean, why not get to 26?
I just wished we'd have known all this when we had the engineer's estimate of cost, because
Right.
all of a sudden, that figure doesn't mean anything anymore.
No.
Yeah.
And, you know, that's kind of what we were basing a cost on this project. We're already over it just by, and we haven't even started on the transfer station yet.
Yeah. And then and they're still trying to get the plans drawn up to get them to you to get the okay on it and stuff, so this is something that needs to be addressed.
I think the commission needs to keep in mind this, even when we finance it, it's gonna be a short-term finance. It's gonna impact the cash balances of this county because the payments are gonna be a whole lot higher. So we need to keep that in mind going forward. It's gonna impact, even financed, it's gonna impact our budget,
Okay,
especially the general fund budget.
I have one more question, and I have not addressed Bud with it, haven't addressed anybody with it, but it's been on my mind. And I'm gonna ask Bud first, what did we see, Bud, when we toured, I think you and I toured probably 3, maybe 4 facilities. What did we see with the trucks that we saw dumping? What kind of operation did we see? What kind of buildings did we see? That they, how'd they operate? How'd they dump? I mean, get them from the time they enter our property to the time they dump their load. Tell me what you see.
Well, they came across scales, through the gates, across the scales. A lot of them came up a hill because some of them were built on a hill.
Correct.
They backed in an open side of the building towards the pit, raised their beds, or raised their back end of their trash truck, whichever was coming in, and they pulled forward, and the pit was
At the end.
at the end, say it was east and west, and they were dumping north and south.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
What I'd like the commission to think about here is that due to the facility that they come in with a plan to save, keep the operation open. So that's why right now we have a facility going right through, a path going right through the middle. That's the reason why right now. I think, don't know cost again, and I guess I went with it because that was to keep the operation going. But I think it could be an open end, west end, open end of our building. I think that we could have a driveway right up, just like we're gonna have a driveway up for cars already. And to keep it open, we're gonna have the ramps up here to both sides. I'm just wondering if we wanna take, I hate to change the game, because it always maybe cost, but you're gonna have an open end building, no doors on it when you'd be done, if we went to the west end of the building and dump, just like everybody else does. They back in and dump. I'm just saying that door operation, we know the 2 doors is already, they're not cheap. Plus how many, we've had door troubles through the years that I've sat here, and we've had to pay for doors. So, to get away from door troubles, that's my reason for mentioning this. And we got a north-south wind through there now. If you opened up the west end, just like the rest of the facilities that we've seen, except for Harvey County and McPherson County had one where they could pull it completely in and turn around inside. If you would open up the west end and back in and dump, you wouldn't have the north-south wind. You would dump on the end. This is the stage that we need to talk about these things instead of waiting until what you're talking about. Wait until we get a plan. And
Isn't the west side where we were gonna have the doors?
We was, yes,
Individuals
for the
could
cars,
back up to?
for the cars,
Now, you're
yes.
talking about there would be a place that they could back in, or they can then
No,
drive in?
no, well, I would say we probably have to rearrange that somehow. I still want them on the sides, away from the open, because you get them out of the way of your trucks, and you don't want them on your floor most of the time. That's the reason for that. But this is the time to think about, and again, I don't know if any one of these engineers ever toured all the facilities. They didn't tell us too much about that. I'm just bringing it up to the commission for discussion is what I'm doing right now. It's nothing set in stone. It's,
Well, I mean, I can see where you're coming from, where, you know, the north and south, you're gonna have more blowout.
yeah.
But most of the time, though, we close the north door.
We close whichever door we have to. You know, it depends if they're, more than likely it's the south.
I mean, I don't think it's bad to think about it, but we would know, you need to know the cost, because you've got a big risk-reward factor there.
So, you know, I just bringing it up so that we don't say, well, now since it's all done, why didn't we come in from this end? That's exactly what we're gonna say, is why didn't we come in from this end when it's all done? We can still keep operation going with their plan, just like they've got, And don't change the building any, except it takes out the west end. Then we may have to put a garage door on the side, one side, north side, south side, one side or the other. I'd put it on the south side for me. But, so that backhoe can just go out and start pushing. I know if I was that backhoe operator, I'd.
That's gonna take a total change on here, wouldn't it?
Change on some elevation stuff, yes, and that's the concern.
I guess you could check with them, see what it would cost us in additional engineering to get a feel for what that might cost.
Okay. Would you commission allow Bud and I to go back up and meet with them again and just show them what we're thinking about?
I guess I don't have a plan.
I don't care.
I mean, it's, I mean,
You
it's.
guys change it all the time. I mean,
We're
why
gonna have
stop
an
now?
additional 50,000 or something in engineering costs, well.
Well, yeah, then that's, if it's that much, probably it's not worth it, but they didn't give us that option. The option was to keep the business open while we was,
Right.
and that's the reason why they come up with the north-south. That's what we got right now.
Well, originally it came up was to rejuvenate the old building, you know. That was the original plan. And then they found out it would be more cost effective to build a whole new building, and that's why we're in the plan we're in now. And that's where we're at. I mean, this one never did come up.
But we haven't started dirt work, we haven't done nothing like that, we haven't signed a contract yet. I guess I just wanna see.
I don't have a problem if you wanna go check with them.
Most of them that we looked at, the office shop area was off to the side of them. You know, some of them were connected, other ones were separate, like what we have, you know, so that's not hurting anything.
What do you think, Bud? I mean, for operation fees?
I think we could be all right as long as the trash doesn't blow on us. You know, I mean, we're just gonna have to police it. From what we saw, there wasn't much being blown.
We saw a lot.
We
I
did.
didn't see any blowing
Yeah,
out.
we
That's
were,
it, stacked
we
up
were
in the back.
there on some windy days, and we were there on some cold days, some warm days, and I mean,
What's been your history here though? I mean, does the retaining fence catch it all? Has it been a real problem or?
the fence we have is just in our west area, you know, where the scales on the stuff, mainly, I guess, keeping people off the scales.
Yeah.
But- And then when the trailers are sitting out there full, waiting to be delivered, there might be a little trash, but not much. I think most of the trash that we get that blows out is coming out of the pit area, through the trailer, when they're pushing and blowing, because there's no door on the pit area. You can't shut that down.
Right.
And they try to shut the doors down so that nothing does blow, but when you've got 40-mile-an-hour winds, it's gonna blow. And it goes, and we try to keep it there.
But if you watch the operations,
Yeah.
there's a lot of time spent opening and shutting doors. And I think we
Yeah.
could eliminate that somehow.
I have no problem if you guys.
I just wanna look at it. If they give me $100,000 more, I'll know what you're gonna tell me. So, I just wanna go up and I'll see if we can't get that done maybe this week, but
Yeah, that's
meet
fine.
with one of them.
You wanna give them a holler?
Yeah, give them a holler after
Yeah.
this, and just
I'll
tell them
get
to
back
see
with
what
you.
we can, have a little meeting, and talk about it with them.
And then, that said, I guess I don't need to talk about the bathroom then, so we'll. But I did receive a phone call about an hour ago from Waste Connections, and they informed me effective June 1st, which we are not taking our recycling down there anymore, they would start charging $98.50 a ton for us to take our recycling to them, starting June 1st. Well,
We're
we're
not, so-
already going to Fort
Yeah.
Riley, we've already hauled one load up there, so. So if and when, they haven't said how our first load was, whether it was clean enough for them or not, you know, I'm in contact with him, but I haven't asked him that question. But if and when we have to go back to Waste Connections, that's what it's now, so. And
How much?
that's $98.50.
$100, 20,
$100 a ton.
what do we put on that load, 20 tons? Average?
12.
12 tons of recycling?
Yeah. So you're looking at $1,200 a load.
That costs $1,500 time you drive down the fuel and everything.
But anyway, I just wanna let you know, we're not going there. The guy told me, he said he was gonna have to start charging us the 1st of June, and I said no. So,
But, Commissioner, we have a letter from the city, man. We have Hillsborough getting started. Just think of where this is, it's costing Hillsborough, it's costing the city of Marion for recycling. because they're taking a special trip and doing that. I don't know what Hillsborough is gonna, if you're gonna get the one-arm bandit, I don't know, one-arm truck.
They're using that now.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they're starting.
Okay.
Yeah, this last week, all the bins have been distributed.
Oh, okay.
The recycle bin should be out in the next couple weeks. Gonna let the new driver and the new truck
Right.
get it back.
But I'm just thinking, we gotta look forward to what it's costing our county to, and sure, it's all the right thing to do. If we continue to say it's the right thing to do, to put it in the ground, to put it in the recycling and pay for it, that's fine. If that's our decision. But somewhere you gotta look at cost, I think, too, for everybody involved.
At
Not
some
just-
point in time, it has to be cost effective, even if we're, losing a little bit.
Yeah.
Can't be losing a lot.
Yeah, yeah. So keep that in mind, too.
I
Thank
just
you
wanted
for-
to pass,
thank you for the input,
I just
but-
wanted to pass that on to you, that I figured it was probably coming because other counties have been talking to me about it. And,
About the cost?
yeah, see, Butler County the city already did away with their recycling. So now Butler County's looking for a place to go. And they went to Waste Connections and they said it cost them $100 a ton to bring it to them. So,
Another option, we've got biodegradables that are like food waste and stuff like that. They sell digesters. The digester basically turns into a natural gas product. It leaves behind the fertilizer product. You don't haul anything away. You're not. So there's other ways to reduce your load.
they're also coming up with options too, where you can burn it and create energy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anything, your waste, everything, so.
I didn't get my science degree.
No, I didn't.
They had those way back. in the
Well, most of that
50s.
stuff isn't rocket science,
No.
it just costs a lot of
I
money.
don't know why
Yeah.
they never
Yeah.
took off.
That's the whole thing, I mean, we're talking lots of things. But anyway.
Thank you, bud.
Yeah.
Thanks, bud.
That's what I had.
I would appreciate heads up on things like that, State of El Dorado, and other, see what's happening around us, so we know.
Yeah.
We're not sitting out here
Right.
waiting on somebody to do something, there's already done around us, we're sitting doing something, so
Sure.
appreciate that.
Yeah.
And I'll get with you.
I'll get back.
Okay.
Okay. Trevor? Come on. Good morning. Good morning.
Travis, I love your shirt. I
Thank
think
you.
it's a very good move.
They look nice for everybody to see that, didn't they?
They're nice and clean and crisp and bright. I do like it.
Go ahead.
All right. I have, first of all, I want to thank the commission and the public as well for coming out and supporting the open house on Saturday. A little bit of rain kind of dampened a couple of things, but we made it through it just fine, I think. So, nice turnout there. We have the run reports up there. We're down for the month, which is good in a way. People aren't needing our services, that's fine. So, kind of in line with the previous year, so we're not a long ways off. But, the other thing I have, we missed it last month, the quarterly write-offs, should have been last month. I didn't get those over here. So I have, papers there, if you can pass those down. After speaking with council, if the commission would like to see the names associated with these write-offs, we could do that at some point, just so you know what we're doing in executive session. But we are trying, we're out from under Omni billing now. What they have, they will continue to try and bill. Every call from Saturday on, this is coming back in-house billing. And hopefully that will alleviate some of this. So, some of these things go to Omni, by the time they get back to us, the 2 years are up, you can see. So, maybe that won't happen as much.
I don't know if set-off still takes it after 3 years, but is everything mostly done at the end of 2 years as far as trying to process it, except for this Kansas set-off?
It depends on if we've initiated anything at all prior to that time, so it can be extended, first of all. And most of it, here's your contractual, probably 3 year terms.
Set off,
But
probably.
you can take it to set off anytime.
Okay.
You
Yeah, and you'll see, I mean, some of these have been to small claims, nothing to garnish, that kind of thing. Set off, they have to have some kind of
Tax.
something we can get.
Yeah.
And we do, you know, we do have quite a few we send to set off.
Just so we're sending them there.
Yep, we
Okay.
are, we're definitely doing that, but yeah, this totals $5,243.23.
I'd make a motion to have the write-off of $5,243.23.
Okay, we got a motion to
I'll
approve
second
the
it.
write-off, seconded by Diane. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
I don't believe I have anything else. If you have anything for me.
I think, from the commission, we really commend you on, the open house from the other day. I think the people that were there, which ended up being pretty good crowd.
Pretty good crowd, yeah.
I really enjoyed that and especially meeting the personnel, you know, because there's personnel that I don't know. And so, it's a good time just to do that, so, thanks.
Thank you to Mike Beneke for donating some of the stuff and things for that, because, you know, he's been wanting to donate to this project for a long time.
Yes.
But, no, I just was tickled to death of the people, because I was worried we was gonna have 50 maybe,
Yeah.
and we didn't.
And we thank Randy that this energy was able to provide the cooker.
Yeah.
A large cooker like that, very, a lot better than bringing a grill. Anything else, Travis?
That's it.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you.
My hamburger wasn't done.
Blame me.
That's usually the way I like
Like I
it.
said, that's the best way to eat them,
Some
really.
people do, but some people, there was a lot that got
If
thrown
they're
away.
done, they're really good.
Yeah, you just ruined it.
But you didn't come back out and throw it on the grill.
No,
Well, you should have.
thrown it in the trash.
Oh.
And a lot of people did too, believe it or not.
Darren, here yet?
I don't think so.
Okay, Darren's not here yet, so I think we'll go ahead and take a 10-minute break, because he's scheduled for 10:45.
Hey, now you're just in time for a break.
She just stepped out.
She out there?
Nina?
There she comes.
She's coming.
I'll keep her to lead.
Batteries.
Ah.
Okay, Darren, you're up next. Go ahead.
Okay,
Any reports on 330th and park utility?
okay, I'll start with park utility, and was the pay estimate part in their packet?
Yes.
Okay, so the pay estimate that you have in front of you for the park utility, RV park utility, is not a final because they were still doing cleanup work, but it does include everything that's been installed, so they have a fully functioning water system out there. Now we're back online, so what we did is we installed new 2-inch line that will be live year-round to the trailer houses along that west side, and we moved the water line to the interior, so it got away from all the rest of the utilities that are on the gravel road side. And that new 2-inch line runs all the way down to the shop, ties in the shop, as well as it runs to the lake hall, both sides of the lake hall, the office, and the house. And we ran new line clear into the basement of the house and the office. So we are new line from the connection point all the way on all those, and that 2-inch line will be live year-round. Then what we did is we installed a 2-inch line that serpentines back and forth in the RV area that has a valve over near the meter, so that Josh can come in and kill that 2-inch valve when it comes October, November, whenever Isaac says it's time. And he can actually hook an air compressor up there and blow that line out, and that'll be winterized. So that's how we're gonna run that line from here on out.
Due to modern equipment, that snake in the line where the whole thing's all on continuous feet, that's cool.
Yep.
It worked out great.
It's gonna be the best solution, because all he has to do is he just has to go from one valve on the
Yeah.
very end of the line, hook the air compressor up by the meter,
Yeah.
run it for 5 to 10 minutes, you'll blow out the line, and it'll be winterized.
I
And that way, with one valve, we control that whole RV area.
Yeah.
And then we installed one more valve to hook up to an existing 2-inch line that runs back to the trailers to the north and also to the dump station. So we actually put a pit in, there's a meter pit, or not a meter pit, it's next to the meter pit, it's a pit that has those 3 valves in it. So those areas can be run with those 3 valves. So, and we installed a bunch of 2-inch line, and there's some 1-inch line that runs to like the lake hall. The 3/4 PEX line, that 800 feet, actually we ended up putting a little bit more than that up there. I think we got, what, 1,020? Yeah, 1,020 feet. That's all the line that we supplied to Isaac. So that is line that he has on hand and is for the trailer houses. So as they come to rehook up their trailer house for the summer, they'll go over to him and he'll go out with them and he'll cut the length they need, he'll crimp the PEX ends on, and that's how we'll get to the new, that's how we'll hook up those trailer house locations. It was easier to do that than have the contractor go through and decide, well, does this person want it under their trailer, do they want it, so we just did it that way, and he gave notice to all those occupants that they just come see him and they'll go out with each other and give them the right length into the right location that they want.
I think I have to break that in the wintertime.
Break it.
Take it loose from the meter down there.
Yes, inside the pit at the trailers, there's the same little, just 90-degree ball valve on each. There's 2 of them in each pit. So all they've got to do is, just like they did off the old yard hydrants, just go through and it's just a garden hose connection. Unscrew the garden hose connection. That's how you winterize your trailer. So there was still some cleanup to do. The contractor was going to drop some rock back around the valve, around the RV spots, and so that they still had that to do. And the pile was out there last week. They were still kind of regrading and grading the dirt around all that stuff last week. And so I didn't go out this morning to see if they got the rock spread, but that'll be the last thing. That'll be part of the retainage. Also, he's going to throw out some grass seed, and he's probably going to wait till the fall. Now, well, throw it out now. It's just going to wash it away. So he'll get some grass seed thrown out there too. So,
They're very conscious about their work. I was real happy with what I saw. From what Isaac had said.
Well, and Isaac knows that if we start seeing some sinkholes, he's going to call me. If we get any settlement, he'll call me, and I'll call Charlie back, and he'll come right back down and get it regraded or moved around to go back in. So we'll watch that all the way through the fall. So I'm sure there's going to be some, and inevitably you can't get everything packed back perfect, especially with all the tree roots and stuff we worked around. Some of that.
Okay, we need to go ahead and act on the statement that we have in front of us.
Make that motion to pay that payment of $68,134.23.
Okay, got a motion to make payment on the water system for the county lake. 68,134.23. Diane seconds. All those in favor? Aye.
And Tim, did you want me to talk about the inspection piece of that then too? Okay. We went back and looked, and the way the minutes were written up, this was going back a little over a year. When we were in here and we started talking about the design of the system, it turns out the way the minutes read that you approved our design of like $5,030. But I was under the understanding at that time, then he also approved the inspection piece of it for another $5,030 or maximum. It's hourly, but maximum. But that's not the way the minutes were written.
Yeah, I never saw that. We went back and did that official action. You told him to go ahead, but then you never did the official action to approve the construction and inspection part of the process.
Do you know what that invoice was that we sent on that one?
I didn't bring that in here with
Okay.
me.
I think it was only for a couple $1,000s, and we're probably only gonna, it will not hit our 5,000 hourly max during inspection. But right now, we're probably gonna be about the 25, maybe 3,000 range at the most.
When you went ahead with the project, it was included in the documents as $5,030 for the the design and
And 5,000, another maximum of 5,030 for inspection.
Right, and so just so that we have the updated file and everything that we need for audit of the project, we need an official approval for them to do the construction and inspection portion.
Is it considered construction inspection, or is it actually as a construction inspection and engineering?
Well, no, we did design engineering, and now it's construction inspection. And what the inspection, the main reason we had to be there during inspection, or construction, for the construction inspection, is we have to sign off with KDHE that the lines pass the pressure testing and the bacteriological testing. Because we have to send in a post report to KDHE saying everything was done as per the permit we did during design. So otherwise, we wouldn't have necessarily had to been out there during construction all the time. So
Is there any other discussion? Anybody have any?
No, I mean,
it's more of a.
It was the commission's intent to fund that.
Correct.
We just didn't have a formal.
It just didn't get included in the minutes of the way, so it's more of a formal action at this point, just to get caught up.
I'd make that motion if there's no discussion that we approve the construction inspection part of it, yes.
Okay. Have a motion to approve the construction inspection for EBH engineering on the water system of the county lake.
Second.
Moved by Diane, seconded by Diane. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And that'd be for a maximum not to exceed 5,030, which it's not gonna be there.
We'll hold you to it.
You got it. We'll do it.
Hanging to it?
That's not old, not hanging.
There's some good trees out there.
That was the easy one to meet, 5,029.
Oh, like I said, it won't even get to that. It was actually, working with Charlie, I mean, he made it easy because he called me exactly when we needed to come out and watch the test. He called me exactly when we needed to watch the critical stuff, and then I'd stop by randomly beyond that, and I never found any problems with his work when I made some random checks, so. When you get a good contractor working for you like that, it makes it easy. So we don't have to charge as much.
It behooves them to do it right the first time.
Well, exactly.
Because that water test, it can be brutal.
Especially when you start dealing with the new poly lines, even just, I mean, it's just amazing, you know, even though you got several thousand feet out there, you sit there, you just barely open a spigot, and you watch the pressure drop from 100, which is where we tested at, was 100 PSI, it'll drop to 90 just instantly. So, I mean, we know we got good solid lines out there, we don't have any leaks.
Okay, 3/30.
3/30. Okay, so I just talked to the contractor this morning, pending all this weather. Right now, they're scheduled for either the first week of June or that second week of June, so it'd be the 3rd or the 10th. They're gonna remobilize to do the repairs. And right now, the repairs include that edge, just past Eagle, on the west side of Eagle, there's about a 70 or 80 foot patch right along the edge that has not gotten any worse since we started those discussions. And that they'll take out about probably 2 to 3 foot of that asphalt. They'll rework the base with rock base and geogrid, and then they'll patch back the asphalt at that point on that stretch. They're gonna crack seal all cracks on the entire 8 miles. And then also there's down at, it's between the county line and Alamo on center line. It's just after you come up, there's a box bridge or a culvert just east of that last house. And as you're coming back up the hill coming east, there's a crack on center line. It's about 60 feet long. Yes, it does go clear through the base. And so what we're gonna do there, I've notified Terracon just so that they're aware of it. But what we're gonna do there is we're gonna pull out, they're gonna probably bring an 18-inch mill head up, or they're gonna saw cut. We're not sure, and then do an 18-inch white bucket. So we're gonna about 60 to 70 feet long, or if the crack goes further at the time. Pull out the asphalt on that stretch, and then we're probably going to use basically a pour-in concrete, for lack of a better term, like you use on your driveways. For that, that crack's not going to be wide enough probably to try to get anything else down into it. And that way we can use that concrete patch to fill that crack in that's down below there. Why it happened where it did, we're not exactly sure. Yes, we're going to take care of it and get it fixed. All the other cracks that we found that have happened are still small, just like you'd see on asphalt. I mean, the asphalt's been down now about 18 months. So you're going to have thermal cracking after going through basically 2 winters in the summer. So we're going to get those sealed, everything else sealed up. We're going to get that base spot taken care of, and we're going to get the other base spot in Eagle taken care of. So that's the whole key, is make sure we don't have any further base problems. If, when we get either one of them open, there's something different, I will let you know, and we're gonna take care of it while we have them open. Or,
They did agree to crack seal the whole 8 miles, okay, good.
And so Darren, did they agree to repair the damage that's done once you get that open?
Yeah.
Are they gonna pay for that too, no
oh
matter
yeah,
what takes?
they're not charging you any for any of this repair stuff, this is all under the original warranty, 1-year
Okay.
warranty.
And so you mentioned just that one east of Alamo that you had talked about where it goes down deeper.
Yes,
So I would also ask that maybe you double check east of Bison, because that's a pretty nasty crack as well.
the one east of Bison, I stopped and checked it, and I didn't find where I could get deeper into it other than through the asphalt, but we
Okay.
will check it
I was
again.
just asking you to check it, and then one west of Chisholm Trail is also quite lengthy, and it looks like this. So if you just check it.
Yeah, and that one, for whatever reason, as soon as we start seeing the warmer temperatures, some of these are not open as far as like even those pictures you had there. So I looked at that one that you showed just there, just the other day, and it's back to, it's barely even a hairline wide. Now, if we can get seal in it, we'll seal it, but that one there didn't appear to be able to get down into the base either. So we'll check them all again as we're going through.
All right.
I'm gonna be on site when they go through and do all these crack seals. Before I let them crack seal, I'll double check and see if there's any depth to it again, so.
Diane, did you say west of Chisholm Trail?
I think I did.
Okay,
I
I just
think
remember
yes,
it's-
if I get up there, I just
west
wanna-
of Chisholm Trail,
Yeah, I'm
1/8 of a
trying to-
mile.
Okay, thank you.
Trying to remember.
Patty, what do you got?
I just have an observation. We just spent a week in Florida, and I don't understand how they made their roads with water everywhere. And I know 330th has water problems underneath, or isn't that why? What was, which one was it with all the water?
Well, it was kind of the presumption that 330th had water issues
Okay.
under it, but
That
we
wasn't-
we haven't seen any indication that would say, hey, we got a natural spring coming right through the road.
Okay. I just wondered.
Will that crack still last a while, or is it something that's gonna have to?
Well,
be done
any of
over
our
and
county
over?
roads, you know, you got a crack seal, realistically, you should have a crack sealing program that crack seals about every year or two at the most. I mean, so, are the same cracks gonna be the ones you have to crack seal every year? Not necessarily. Usually, once that sealer gets down in them, unless that crack gets wider due to thermal movement, that crack seal keeps the moisture out of there for at least that year or two if that crack doesn't move. But if due to Mother Nature's thermal movement, all of a sudden that crack expands and that gap widens too much for that elasticity of that sealer, it could open back up and then that good moisture could get down in there again. So the whole goal with crack sealing is to create a barrier so moisture can't get to the base.
The best way to see all those cracks, I can tell you this, is when it's wet.
Right.
You can really see them, they show up big time.
Right. And that's unfortunately, that's the worst part,
Worst
crack
part.
seal.
Yeah.
Oh,
Because
I
moisture
know.
will make it so the sealer doesn't stick.
But we could, you know,
So,
sure.
And the paint doesn't stick either.
Yeah, and actually, they kind of changed course. Usually, they used to seal in the middle of summer, because they thought that's the best time to seal.
No.
Actually, the best time to seal is in wintertime when the crack's the widest.
Yep. Our best time to seal is actually either October, November, or in like February.
Ask that.
Yeah.
That's the best times to seal. We've been cool enough, you know, over this time period now this spring, we're not at the bad point for crack sealing yet.
Right.
Especially, you know, you go out there on a day like today where we've had these cooler temperatures, those cracks are still gonna be wider. Now, if we get 3 straight days of 90 plus, yeah, you're hardly gonna get any crack material down in.
It's inevitable for roads.
Yeah, asphalt roads are
Well,
gonna, you're
and
gonna have a
honestly,
crack seal.
your gravel roads crack and deteriorate too, but you just blade them back shut, you don't really see much, but it's not as obvious as the big roads.
Anything else, Darren?
I don't think so. Unless you guys have something else there.
Anybody else have anything for Darren?
No,
I don't.
not this time.
Okay. All right, thanks.
Okay?
Have a good day, Darren.
Thank you very much. Now, like, as soon as we get ready to go on that, I definitely want to keep Bryce in the loop on that. Look at, doing that work up there.
Okay.
All right?
You know if Janine's available.
I will go see.
No problem. Lots of good base material over geogrid.
Yeah. 100 degrees.
Well, the other
Different
thing,
asphalt.
the other thing with Florida though too, or some of the southern states is you don't have the thermal changes. You know, you take a look at asphalt in the Dakotas, it holds up better. You look at Florida and Texas, it holds up better. That's because Florida and Texas stay 60, 70 degrees year round. Dakotas stay 30 degrees year round, where we swing from 30 to 100.
And didn't they, at one time, they said that Kansas had, like number 1 or number 2 in the nation in that thermal swing? And that's why we have so much problem with our roads.
Nebraska and Kansas
Yeah.
are two of the worst.
Yeah. Crazy.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Go to the Rockies.
She'll be in short.
Okay. We'll take a break.
Good morning.
Morning, Jim.
How's it going today?
Good, how are you?
Can't complain.
Go ahead.
Well, I just did some quick figuring, and as of Wednesday, we're at 93% of the tax collection, so. Everything came in early this year, and we were able to get everything, all the mail done and everything done by Wednesday, so we were really pleased.
Very efficient. An efficient department.
We tried.
How does that affect your disposal to, quarterly disposal? Does that mean you put more back on CDs and stuff and keep till the last quarter, or?
We will see how we come out. I have yet to run the distribution. And then also we have neighborhood revitalization that will be going out. So after that, we can look at it and see. Yes, I'd like to invest more, but I haven't quite got a grip on what paydays are gonna run, so.
Well, we're not even halfway through the year yet. We're at 93%.
Yeah. Very
Better have a lot back there.
Yeah, yeah. And is the competitive bid process going well? I mean, all the banks are complying and?
Most of them. I need to do it more religiously. It's been kind of busy over there, so I haven't got it done quite as quickly. But
Well, I mean, do you have someone else in the office that can kind of watch that and get the bids in, you know, if you're not available?
I guess Kathy and I'll have to talk about that.
I mean, you
If
could,
she'd be comfortable doing that.
because I know I had one bank that called me and said, we've got a fairly sizable CD and it's matured, are we gonna have to bid on it? I said, probably, but if you don't hear anything, I guess you just renew it.
And the ones that have been renewing it have been renewing really close to state rates, so I've been
Right.
pleased with that.
Right. Because I know it's made some difference on our interest income,
It has.
quite a bit of difference, in fact.
Let's see. Leslie has completed all of her various trainings, and she's now ready to do most anything in the office, so we're full staff.
Okay.
Going pretty good right now. I hate to say that out loud. Yeah.
Notice you use two hands to knock on the wood.
Yeah, definitely. I didn't say that, okay, no one heard it.
Okay, does the commission have anything else for Janine?
Thank you. Thank you. Have a great day. Have a
You
good
too.
week. And with the rain, the
storms going around.
Yeah, there you go.
Thank you much.
Thank you.
Okay, we're ahead of schedule. We have commissioner comments coming up. Do you want to wait? Do you want
Now,
to
if there's
continue?
any way, let's continue, keep on moving.
Okay, commissioner comments in regards to a news article. Diane, I guess you put that on?
I did, yes.
Okay, I will though caution you, let's not bash any private businesses.
Okay, here we go. So, I got your caution. The reason I brought that on is because of the newspaper article that was on the front page. I will tell you that I have decided to handle it in a different fashion, but I do at least want to make sure that everybody is aware that the story is false. There's only one sentence in that entire story which is true, and that is where the writer points out that I did sign a waiver of all my marital rights of any interest in the wind farms and the property. That's a true statement. As far as me owning property, I don't. As far as me having a turbine on my property, since I don't own property, I don't own a turbine. And the property, of course, that she is referring to has 2 turbines on it, not just 1. So, and it's not my property. So I don't mind stories about me. In fact, I have always said that if I say it, I own it. But just don't make up fat lies. You know, these things are very easy to check. And when you're talking about my husband Kelly and things like that, that's a personal attack, and I don't like that. And I don't think that we should be going down that road either. So at this point, that's all I'm going to say on this. I had a larger speech prepared, but I'm going to save it for my other way of handling it. So, but I wanted to use the rest of my time on talking about something else. And that is, I do want to talk about the bill that we received from Pat Hughes. I spent all weekend reading this bill many times over. And this bill has really got me alarmed. I find this bill to be outrageous. And I went over this bill, and I have several questions on the bill. First off, I cannot even fathom in my wildest dreams why a department would spend $8,000 to $9,000 in 1 month on legal fees. To me, that's an abuse. I understand that the situation, the subject matter may require some legal information and some help, but out of 22 days in the month of April, 18 of those days, there was calls, emails, meetings, conferences, etc. on every subject matter on this issue imaginable. And I really think the commission needs to look at this quite seriously, because that is just, to me, ridiculous. And I would also question, there's also been more conferences and emails and things back and forth with even Tina involved, and I have to question what that was all about. Just by looking at all the various conferences with Tina and Sharon, Mr. Pelstring, Pat Hughes, etc., and the amount of time that is spent on those conference calls, emails, and so on. I have no idea what they know that the commission don't know, but obviously it's quite a bit, because that's a lot of conversations there. That's also very concerning to me. I just want to bring this to the commission's attention, and I really think we do, however we need to handle it, but I don't think we can have these type of bills every month. Something needs to be done. So that's what I want to say about those.
I think we did have correspondence from Mr. Pelstring in regards to any third-party charges that they would be paying those.
I do have a letter from, or email, sorry, from Mr. Pelstring, and he said that, I don't know what.
Yeah, and I don't know how much of that would actually be there.
Well, he's in there almost every one of them. So, but then I'm going to take it one step further, and this is my opinion and my thoughts and the way I believe. I think Mr. Pelstring should pay a huge part of this. I don't call his attorney, and I also think, honestly, I've lost a lot of respect for Mr. Pat Hughes. We made it very clear last year when we were dealing with Tradewood that we did not want our attorney to ride the fence. We needed an attorney to be dedicated to the county. And so that's not what I'm seeing here now. So I've lost a lot of respect for the man. And I think honestly, my personal opinion, Pat Hughes can pay Pat Pelstring can pay this bill, and then he can win the prize and have Mr. Hughes for his attorney, is my opinion. And I'm sorry, but that's just what I feel. I don't like to be treated like this from an attorney. You put a lot of trust and respect in an attorney, just like a doctor.
Well, when you get into these type of deep matters with, you step in, Brad, but, if I were running a planning and zoning office and I run into this, I'm probably gonna have a question every day.
I don't think if you know your business too well, you would do that. I mean, there's gotta be a little bit of expertise in that office that you don't need to ask an attorney every day. Okay, let's look at one thing right here. Tell me this. So, would you be able to write up your own staff report? Your own staff report. So there's 2 conferences on here about a staff report, and then rewriting the staff report. Really? I don't even know what for staff report it is, but I'm about to find out. And so, like I say, if you really read this and get into all the lines, it's an eye-opener. So that's
But I mean, all of these charges are in regards to wind farm.
Most everyone. Now, the staff report is not. The staff report is not.
Now, we don't even
but
really tell me a bit.
I'm
It
gonna
just
go.
says staff report.
I know, that's what I'm saying. Why would you need an attorney for an hour and a half almost for a staff report? Nonetheless, I think I'm gonna maybe even go back a year and just see how much legal conference was taking place when we were doing trade wind up there, because I don't recall seeing this.
Well, I believe we did have
Some,
yes, I
but
don't know.
not like 9,000 a month, plus what we had the month prior. So that's my comments right there, and I really would ask the commission to look at that quite seriously. That's all I have.
Well, if most of those are third party, why don't we just direct it to Mr. Pelstring, the bill?
And I got that, and that is one part. That is one part of it, paying the bill, yes. The other part is, what the heck are they discussing that we're not involved in? I mean, that's a lot of discussion. What is that, total hours, 29 hours or something like that I see on here somewhere? That's a lot of information that I would like to know what that is. I think as a commissioner making the decisions, I have a right to know. What the heck is all going on? So it's 2 parts. So, that's that.
Yes, I mean,
I was just gonna ask, on here, I mean, he always names the person that he's having the conversation with, but then on one date, he said, conference with Tina, Sharon, and commissioner to review an email. Why doesn't he list what commissioner he talked to? Just a question.
I'm sure that, in writing, that is just kind of vague. I mean, to me, it says everything that it had to say. I mean, I'm sure they don't detail everything out. Like, I don't know. I didn't question that.
I just think you guys should. I think there should be a lawyer for you guys and a lawyer for them. I mean, I don't think that the 2 should commingle and coexist as an ethics part of it, because you guys are representing the residents of Marion County. You guys are not trying, you know what I mean? I mean, I'm sure at the beginning he probably made it seem like he could do both and represent us
well,
and then represent.
he's not stating that he represents the residents and Expedition.
He's only our lawyer? Or
His statement to us is he is only our attorney.
No, he's only their attorney.
So then
You
why?
can't ask him a question.
No,
as a
no, I
resident.
wouldn't want
He
to,
won't
but I'm
answer.
just saying.
Well, you won't answer, because I did. He said, I work for them. I don't work for
But
you.
why
I'm
would
paying
you
his
just
bill.
have sole conversations with just Expedition Wind?
Yeah, he talks,
Or
but he talks
talking
to
about,
Pelstring also.
like, the petitioner's petition that's going around. Those are kind of conflicting, you know what I mean, like, as far as an outsider looking in.
These are some things we need to get answered.
Sure.
Okay. Thank you.
privilege to discuss pending litigation, so 15 minutes. Okay, I'll make a motion.
Are we gonna have public comments first, or and then come back and have public comments?
Well, you can do it either way. He'd ask for it now.
Okay.
Can you wait a little bit?
Yeah, sure.
Okay,
That's not a problem.
okay, then we'll go ahead and take care of the public comments, so people won't have to stick around, so. Open.
Sure.
Rick.
I'd just like to respond to the first point of Commissioner Novak's thing, if you would be happy to come over across the street after the meeting. If there was anything wrong with our article, we would be happy to correct it.
Okay, I will do that, thank you.
Okay. Bryce?
I was wanting to know if I could meet with the commission as well as the counselor on the official position as a county engineer, probably an executive session afterwards. Okay.
Not been on the agenda. Is there anything we can move forward on at this point?
I think it's a timing question in terms of how quickly. I've indicated to him that there was the application. I'm just trying to get everything in place by June 1, and he's willing to inquire about the potential for doing it sooner than that.
So, do you recommend we talk or not?
You can certainly still have it, you're in session, if you want to put that on there. That's a motion and add it to your agenda.
I don't know about the contract, I don't know nothing about that, so, we haven't been advised yet by that, so if that's in your legal session too, I mean, that's maybe we need to do that, then we might be able to.
What's the schedule for next week? I mean, what day, since we have Memorial Day,
The 28th.
so you're gonna use Tuesday?
Yes.
Next Tuesday.
If we want to do it, we'll just do it then.
Okay, we will address that on the agenda on the 28th, Bryce?
Brad, sometimes don't you talk to the individuals themselves in contracts and stuff like you do with EMS, EMCC, we were talking back and forth with them on their contract. Is that something that you and Bryce can kind of talk about?
That's my intent, yeah.
So in the meantime, you might call him and
Sure.
stuff and talk to him.
And we talked this morning, and I'm happy to do that, and I told him so.
Okay.
It's I was just working with the June 1st deadline, to be honest, and so I mentioned that to him. And I think in fairness, he was thinking, well, okay, is there any way that I can accelerate that, or is there potential to start sooner, given all the FEMA work, and that's one thing I understand this question.
Yeah, me too. Okay, so you would maybe be in contact with
Sure.
him this next week
Yeah, I've
and work
drafted
out
it.
all that contract stuff?
My intent was, well, that's fine, he and I can take a look at it. You've already seen it once, and then bring it back to you with any comments he has.
That would be great, that might speed things
That
up
way
a
we
little
can
bit.
come up with a start date
Okay.
and have our other job description in place. Okay, we're ready then to, let's see, was there other comment? Anyone? If not, we're gonna move into executive session, and I'll move executive session in order to discuss attorney-client privilege. Item number 2, pursuant to KSA 75-431B, 9B, in order to discuss pending litigation with the commission and our counsel, Brad, until 11:33.
Second.
Moving second, all those in favor? Aye.
Rain drops on the problem, the rain goes down before they cross our
Start
problem.
through it. We talked about this last week.
I just turned it on.
Oh, okay.
So, you want to codify something you got?
Okay, out of executive session, no action taken. That was the final thing that we had for the day, so I'll make a motion that we adjourn.
Second.
Moving second, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay.
Let me see what that